I mean, it's kind of redundant to say that stunt women kick ass, isn't it? Welcome to the Film Threat Podcast. I am Chris Gore. I am pleased to talk to you today about a documentary that you have to see, which is Stuntwomen, the Untold Hollywood Story. I have the director, April Wright, here today. April, welcome to the Film Threat Podcast. Thanks for talking to us today.
Yeah, I'm very excited to be here.
Well, I'm very excited about your doc because, one, I love documentaries that sort of peel back what it's like to really work in Hollywood and to really make films. And stunt women, I would say stunt people in general as a job on a film set is one where they kind of don't want to be famous or even known, right? Like I've been fortunate enough to meet some stunt people in my travels and whatnot in the industry, and they really kind of shy away from being known. I would actually say that probably the stunt person that I know the best is Zoe Bell, because she transitioned not just doing stunts, but also being on camera in roles,
Yep.
Most recently, Quentin Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. But what led you to making this documentary? And what took so long for there to be a documentary about stunt women?
Well, first off, I'll comment on what you were saying. Yeah, part of their training is to not be seen. They, hide it with wigs and hair and they have to land in a stunt so their face is not showing. So that's absolutely a skill for them to stay hidden, that they practice. But we wanted to show the stunt women. It started with a book that had the same title that was written by Molly Gregory. And so she had done a great deal of research. And then when I got involved, I wanted to not just have a history lesson, but really go behind the scenes, have some of the younger stunt women meet the living legends that were doing it in the 60s and the 70s, and then also just bring it up to present day and have as many of the big stunt women, who are top of the field today in the documentary as possible. So it was a lot of fun.
Well, it's amazing that you collected really stunt women who have doubled for iconic roles, right? Like, Scarlett Johansson, of course, as Black Widow. And there are so many. I would say that because there are so many leading female action stars these days, there has to be more work for stunt women than ever before.
Yeah. I would say so. That with a lot of the comic book movies and Marvel movies and Wonder Woman and all these things, definitely, and a lot of the TV series too are creating lead action roles for women. And so you have more women in front of the camera, you have more stunt women behind the camera. But we do have in the film women that double Gal Gadot in the upcoming Wonder Woman 84. We have Black Widow's usual stunt double, who doubles Scarlett Johansson. We have a stunt woman who doubled Brie Larson on Captain Marvel. So all the big films like that you've seen, you'll see some other women that you didn't realize you were seeing on screen.
What is it? I wasn't aware that there was a book of the same title. Is that what you use for research for the doc?
Yeah, Molly had done a great deal of research. So it was a wonderful jumping off point. It was great in terms of just knowing that there were women doing stunts in the early days of cinema and black and white silent films. So she gave a great head start on the research. The book goes up to around 2007. So I had to take it into the present and to do more research. And it was also interesting because once we started having the, cross-generational conversations, there was a lot of stories that came out that are different from the book. So, if you want to know more, get the book and you can go even more in depth. But we try to really show it instead of talk about it. We talk about it, of course, but, we also shot live high falls and a woman being set on fire and drift car racing. So there's a lot of action in this documentary too.
Well, it's interesting because, these days, the word brave is thrown around a lot when it comes to actors, but I don't think there's anyone more brave than a stunt person, because as you tell in your documentary, you're looking at putting your life at risk for some of these stunts. You document that people, you could lose your life, you could lose your livelihood with a traumatic injury. I was interested that there was a part that you also explored where you talk about that if 3 women pass on a stunt, that it can be done by a man, because I thought that I never knew that. How is that, like, is that still something that happens to today? Is that
I know, right? And that's very interesting the way she put it, that instead of going out of your way to find a woman to do the stunt and double a woman, it's almost like it's a backwards objective. If I can get 3 women to pass, then I can give it to a guy. And so it's an interesting statement. I think the business certainly has been dominated by men, and even recently there's been stories that have come out where men are still doubling women, and white stunt people have been what they call painted down to double people of color. Mm-hmm. So people are more conscious of that, just like we are talking about Oscars so white or whatever it might be. There's a lot of efforts now in the entertainment business to create opportunities for women and people of color that sort of systematically have not been part of the system up till now. And certainly stunts was part of that. And there've been a lot of stunts in films, not so much lately, but definitely years ago, there were a lot of stunts where women were doubled by men. And we cover that a little bit in the film. But, nowadays, obviously, everybody's trying to make sure that the stunt performer matches the actor as good as possible.
Well, Michelle Rodriguez, who she narrates the doc. I mean, she's sort of the thread through from the Fast and Furious films, from Lost. I've always been a big Michelle Rodriguez fan, but she seems like she could be a stunt person on her own. Like she's always been a badass, or at least portrayed that way. So tell me about working with Michelle on this doc.
Yeah, Michelle was great, and I really loved working with her. She had been very vocal about supporting stunt people, making sure that they get credit where credit is due. I believe on one of the Fast and Furious movies, there was a situation where stunt people didn't get their names in the credits and weren't allowed to come to the premiere. And she was very outspoken that is not right, that these people are putting their lives on the line. And she doesn't like it when actors say that they do all their own stunts if they don't. So this is something that's a passion of hers. And yes, she's done a lot of great sort of testosterone-y roles where she's been a badass and she's been athletic. And she really, really admires and appreciates and wants to, push up all the stunt women, because she really, truly does admire what they do.
Well, what I'm surprised by is I don't think stunt people get the credit that they deserve. So I totally agree with Michelle Rodriguez on that. But I'm curious why there's no, and I've actually talked to stunt people about this, like, why is there no acknowledgement in the awards arena? Award season comes along and we celebrate the same 15 movies and all the same actors from those movies and people from those films. It really is like, let's just award these 15 or 20 movies that we think are the best ones. And it's, and categories within that. But stunt people have never gotten that recognition. I talked to a stunt person about, they said they really kind of want anonymity is kind of their, part of the job in a sense. So yeah. Have you thought about that or talked about like
it's like the less you're seen, the better job you're doing when you're a stunt person? Well, yeah. there are awards. I mean, Red Bull has put on the Taurus World Stunt Awards for years. It used to be televised. It's not anymore. So their foundation has been a big proponent of stunt performers. And Jeannie Epper in 2007 won the Taurus World Stunt Award Lifetime Achievement Award. She's the first and only woman that they've given that to. But the Emmys also award stunts. And the Best Stunt Coordinator, the Stunt Emmy, the last 2 years in 2018 and 2019 went to a woman, Shauna Duggins, for her work on Glow on Netflix, and SAG awards stunt performers. So really the only big awards body that has not acknowledged stunts yet is the Oscars. And there's a big campaign to try to get some sort of stunt category. because, most people would argue that people at the top of their game doing stunts are the same as somebody at the top of their game in writing or in hair and makeup or in sound design or whatever it might be. So, stunts should be recognized along with all the other, different aspects of our profession.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. And sorry to say I didn't know about the Emmys, but I'm more of a movie guy than a TV guy. So but I really think that the Oscars, the Oscars is always problematic because I feel like half the fun of the Oscars is complaining about the Oscars. And I feel like every year there's always something to complain about. And so I know they have best makeup and, best stunts or stunt person or stunt work, I think just seems like such an obvious extension of what they're doing. They're always like, I feel like the Academy always tries hard, but they're kind of like, between a rock and a hard place. They're going to get criticized no matter what they do. So.
Well, like I said, there's a big campaign and push to try to have it added, and hopefully it happens. Last year, Brad Pitt won an Oscar for playing a stuntman, so maybe that's a step closer.
Yeah, definitely. Let's talk about Zoe Bell because I am a huge fan of Zoe. I think she's incredibly talented and in front of the camera. She's hilarious in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. It's a brief role, but very memorable. So can you talk about her and
well, I just think everybody knows she's one of the best out there. And like you said, she's more visible because she has also moved into acting and directing and stunt coordinating and second unit. So a lot of the stunt women, like Amy Johnston in our film, she specifically says that she admires Zoe Bell, wants to have a career like hers. She's one of the best. What can you say? People do know who she is. And I couldn't really make this film without showing her. And there's so many talented, great stunt women right now. I tried to get as many of them as I could in the film. I couldn't get everybody, but hopefully, that I was able to represent enough, different people, types of stunts, perspective, ages, that we were able to cover the story really well. But obviously everybody loves Zoe and she's funny too.
I think she's hilarious, but you do a really good job in the doc of people sort of at the beginning of their stunt career, kind of trying to get over some challenges, and then people who have been in the profession are retired. So you really do hit like a good range of people. And speaking of that, by the time that this runs, the documentary will be out and available on VOD, but also we're going to do a watch party for this film, which is going to be really fun. We're going to be bringing on some of the people that were featured in the doc. I don't know if we can say right now, probably not, but
yeah, I don't even know who's confirmed, but I'm definitely going to be there. We're going to do it on the 25th of September on Friday. And it's going to be me, my main line producer, who is also a woman, Alex, who was at almost every shoot day with me. We've got a lot of great behind the scenes stories. And a couple of the stunt women that are in the film. And I think we're still adding a couple of people now. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Cool. Yeah. So if you're listening to this, or if you're watching this, just go. We do Film Threat watch parties every Friday, 5 p.m. It's kind of like happy hour on a Friday, end of your week. We watch a movie together. So you download the film, purchase it on VOD, whatever way you want to see it. And we all watch it together, and I encourage anyone listening or watching this to join us on the 20th.
It's kind of like a live director commentary, a live behind the scenes commentary. Like I used to get DVDs specifically for the commentaries sometimes because I wanted to hear those stories of how they made things. So we'll do that live. Yes,
that is my favorite, and it is like a live DVD commentary, and I still listen to those. I still listen to DVD commentaries. Kind of obsessed with them. I don't know. It's in my blood. Yeah. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to this one, and I hope that some of the people in the doc, maybe Zoe can join us, or maybe some of the other stunt women would be awesome. April Wright, thank you so much for joining us on the Film Threat podcast. This has been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you very much. It was fun.
And I want to thank our sponsor, Storyblocks. If you go to storyblocks.com/filmthreat and you are pursuing a career as a filmmaker, there's over 1 million+ clips to use. You pay a low monthly fee, and you can put it in your documentary. And you could be seated where April Wright is right now, talking about your documentary. So thank you so much, April, and thanks to the people at Storyblock.
All right, thanks, Chris.
Appreciate it.